we got a bit of maintenance to do on the old VE. So it's just failed rego. 12 months ago we got a blue slipped and they failed it on the suspension. This year it's failed on suspension. So even though it was all new, it wasn't the best quality stuff. Ultra King and the pillow top bearings, which is these things here, they're failing. Anyway, we've got to replace them. They're worried. They reckon the strut's going to pop through the bonnet soon, so we'll sort that out. And the only other thing that's failed on is engine mounts, which premature failure really. It's 74,000 Ks on the car. So anyway, rubber perishes and deteriorates. So we're going to get them done today. So today's video is strut tops on a Commodore from VN at least through, maybe even earlier. And the two engine mounts on a V6 AlloyTech, which is not much different to the V8s and that sort of thing anyway. All right, so I'll give you a run through. I just did a quick video of the engine talking, just to see and show you how the engine does talk when the mounts are compromised, and that'll sort of give you a bit of an indication as to what you can look for. The other thing is actually physically looking at the mounts to see if they're perished or not, which apparently these are pretty perished, so we'll see when we get under the car. Regardless, we've got all the parts, so we're going to do it anyway. All right, so I'll flip you around and we'll get started. All right, so these struts have been replaced. You can see how fresh the nuts and everything look. So unfortunately the struts themselves don't come with the pillow blocks, or the strut tops, whatever you want to call them, strut top bearing. So this is a 24mm nut on this. I'm pretty sure the factory was the same size anyway, but we're going to zip this off, jack the car up, pull the strut down, put the new pillow block on, and then put it back up. So we'll start with that, and then down in the hollows, down the bottom there, you can see right down here, that's the engine mount down here. So a bit hard to tell from up top, but it's only 2 bolts, one bolt on the top, one bolt on the bottom. Right, I just got the rattle gun on it. Lovely. And then down in there, we've got our strut top. It doesn't look that bad to me, but anyway, it looks like they might have actually done all this shit, which is surprising. They weren't fucking kidding. Righto.
Guess what? I got a sticker.
On this side. Yeah, once again, that's flogged.
What's wrong?
Okay, next step, with the wheel off, we want to get spring compressors on here. This is lowered springs, so they're actually good to go there now, but anyway, we'll get some spring compressors on, and then we need to pull the ABS cable and the brake line out. The brake line needs to rotate and slip out, so it's got like a square edge on one side and then it's round on the outside, so this needs to rotate. I'm trying to do it off-handed. This can be fiddly. These brackets were bent as well.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go. Okay, so rotate and slip out. Really simple job. Would help if it wasn't bent. I'm gonna have to get some pliers or something on it, but basically, that's the idea, is that rotates in there one way or another. So, and then we've got the cable retainer here, pop that out, undo these two bolts here. So this side's 22mm, this side's probably a 19mm. I'd have to double check that, but anyway, so we'll get that off, and then we've got our link pin, sway bar link pin at the back here. The link pin, the bolt on this link pin is 14mm, but on the back side to hold the ball joint side is, which is the shaft, is a 17mm. Okay, so put a spanner on the back side here, undo this one, so that's 14mm here, 17mm spanner on the back side, undo that. I've got both sides of the car jacked up, so it's the same height, so there's no tension on the sway bar. All right, so that makes it easier to pull the sway bar link off. Once all that's disconnected and the springs compressed first, you don't want to take these bolts out, or try and take them out without the spring being compressed first. All right, so once that's all done, then we can swing the strut off at the bottom and then pull the top of it out. We only need to get it so far to be able to pull the strut pillow top bearing out, the strut top bearing off, and put the new one on, and then we can put it all back in. Okay, so you can see here we've got, there's a slot there and then there's a round hole here. All right, if we can get this to focus, you can see there's a slot there, it sort of narrows off, it flattens out. It flattens out there, so that's where it needs to line up with this bit here, and then it will come in and then rotate a bit, so that stops it from being able to fall out. Okay, so now we've got this disconnected, we've got our sway bar link disconnected. These are super low springs, so I can actually pull tension on these springs, and you can see there's actually a bit of free play there already, and the wheel can go down a bit further. So I've disconnected, undone at the top, so I'm just going to pull these two bolts out, and then I'll be able to pull that out. The whole spring assembly will want to come out, but yeah, in this case I don't need a spring compressor, so don't try this unless you've got super low springs and you know that you've got no tension on it. You can see that's all moving quite a lot, and if you don't, then keep the top bolt done, the top nut done up on the strut, on the shock absorber itself, and then pull the whole assembly out, put spring compressors on it and compress it when it's out of the car before you undo it. So in that case you only have to compress the spring, undo the top, take that top nut and pillow block or the strut top off, put the new one on. I'll show you that in a sec anyway, but I'm just going to push it down and do it up. All right, I'll get these two bolts off and get it out. Righto, so this is what you would have ended up with if you pulled it straight out of the car. So this is what I've already reassembled it. This is the strut top bearing. Okay, got a safety collar on the top and a safety collar underneath, and that's pretty much it. So make sure that it's all oriented properly, the spring's sitting in its perches properly. You see up here on the top out here. So yeah, make sure it's all seated so you don't have premature failure. And then, so if you just pulled this out, then you're going to put spring compressors on, unless you've got a strut compressor which clamps over the whole thing. But most blokes have just got people have got a spring compressor, put a spring compressor on one side, spring compressor on the other side, pull them down, takes the tension off, then you could undo this top nut, pull the collar off the block, the bearing, there's a bearing in the top, and then just reassemble. It's the same, just reverse it. So, all right, so I'm going to do this up now. 24. You got that one. Okay. when you get to the point where the shaft wants to turn, chances are you're at the right torque. If you're not using a rattle gun, there's a sometimes there's an Allen key or a square drive or just a socket head like a hex on the top that you can put a spanner on here and then a shifter on the bottom, or a bigger spanner, sorry. With a rattle gun, typically you get it locked down tight enough. So from there, this one, so Porsche's going to put the top on. I'm just going to swing it in down the bottom here. And you want to get it in and you want to line it up. Get the right orientation. Has that got to go up, Porsche? Yep.
A little bit more.
Yep. Alright, so just get that finger tight. That way this can still spin around. Okay. And then we're going to reassemble this. So okay, so they just need to be done up. This is our sway bar link. It moves around quite a lot because the other side's still undone. Okay, so we'll put that on. And then we've got our brake lines. Which will run in here. So it's just a matter of rotating it the right way to get it to line up. There it is. Get that seated in there, that'll turn. Get this on. Now that's back together fundamentally, so I'll tighten all these up, put the wheel back on, go to the other side, tighten all that up, put the wheel on that side, and then we're right to lower the car back down. Once we've got the car lowered down, there's tension on the spring, then we'll do the top bolt up.
Okay.
That's right. Fair enough. Where's the rattle bar? There it is.
I'm filming you.
You're filming me?
Yeah.
Okie dokie, so we've got both our struts back in, new strut top bearings, which is good, all done. Now we're on to our engine mounts. So, slide it into the fucking car. Oh. You can see through here, this is one here. Okay, so you got a bolt at the bottom here. I haven't checked these yet, but that's probably a 19 by the look of it. And then up the top, I'll try and get you around there. And then up the top here, we've got this other bolt up here. All right, so it's only 2 bolts. Basically, we undo the top one first. it's sitting down on the mount, okay? So it's not going to go anywhere. You can undo the top and the bottom bolts. You can do both sides at the same time if you wanted to. But basically what happens is we undo these two nuts, okay? Take them off. And then some cars, this whole bracket assembly for the top will have to come off, okay? I don't know, I haven't done one of these before, so I don't know if we're going to be able to jack the engine up off the perch far enough to be able to pull the engine mount out. But we're about to find out. So you may be able to just do the top and bottom nuts and then jack the engine up, pull the mount out, put the new mount in, lower the engine back down, okay? On the mounts, you can see this says V6. These are a hydraulic engine mount, okay? So they're oil filled, and they're supposed to take up more tension, all right? There's locators. There's a locator here. So you got a pin there, and then you got a couple of dimples. And on the bottom side, you've got a pin here and a dimple here, okay? So we need to make sure that that's all lined up. It's going to be pretty obvious once you get it in there. You can see it's the right shape and so on and so forth. So it's not going to go the other way like that because it's going to be opposite the angle. All right, pretty straightforward. Something that needs to be done time to time, and we'll get it done. All right, so they're a 18mm nut. All right, so we'll just rip this off. Okay, the top I'm going to have to try and get up there with a spanner, and there's not going to be much of a view on that, but as you can appreciate, looking in through here, it's pretty tight, and the angle of it's pretty bad too, so you can't get to it from up the top, unfortunately, because of the headers and all sorts of stuff in the way. So we'll persist with it down the bottom here, and I'll get it all undone, and then we can jack the motor up. Alrighty, so we jacked the motor up and got these engine mounts done. So it's more than possible. You don't have to take the bracket off. You can get the engine mount out without a problem. I did have one little problem where I wasn't paying attention to what I was doing, and I jacked it up a bit too far and broke the power steering reservoir. So the power steering reservoir sits here, and all it was is this pipe here, which is the feed line. The return line. It pulled a bit too far there, and ended up snapping the little nipple that goes onto that. So I mean, it's not a huge drama. Obviously a bit of a mess I've got to clean up, and parts I've got to buy that I didn't anticipate buying. So that's the only thing to keep in mind is, yeah, there is wiring harnesses and, you know, all your cooler lines and all that sort of thing that are connected to the motor. So do be careful. Learn by my mistakes. So anyway, not a big drama, but to get this side, the left hand side, off on ours, I had to use this stubby 18mm for the top, and I managed to get that in there and get a spanner on the end of it to get that extra little bit of leverage to crack it and just to nip it up. Once it was cracked, it was fine to do with the stubby. The other side, I was able to get a deep 18mm socket and just the old trusty ratchet in a position on the other side to be able to crack it and undo it. So yeah, not a real hard job. You will need to, it's obviously safest anyway, but support your car on jack stands, and then you can use your trolley jack and a block of timber or something across the bottom. If you can, don't jack off the sump, because the sump's likely to crack, okay? So I jacked off, I put a jack on the side of my sump where there's a lot of a lot of reinforced structure. So I did one jack on this side and another jack on the other side. I've got 2 trolley jacks over there. And I just put another car stand on top of the trolley jack to get the height and to narrow it up against the side here, so you can see where the jack's been pushed against the side there. I did start using just one jack. If I had have used the 2 jacks at the start, it would have made my life a lot easier. So jack the engine up square if you can, because the angles of the bolts is going to be a bit more of a pain if you're trying to go at an angle as well. So if you jack the whole block up, whole motor up, so you can cut a block of timber or something across the back here and jack it off there. There's a whole stack of options, so just work out what's going to be best for your car and what you're comfortable with, and go from there. But anyway, yeah, jack it up. Once you've lined it back up, just lower them down slowly until you get the bolts through and it's all seated and located. So obviously that's got to sit the right way, that's got to sit all the way down. So if it's not sitting the right way, then the little locators won't line up. That's not going to work. So pretty simple job. Sorry I didn't record it. There was a lot of swearing and things going on, but anyway.